This has not been the ideal taper, but we went on vacation, which made my taper start earlier than planned. And then we came back sick, as one does, going through subways and airplanes. So it just felt a little off. Hello, I'm 1 week out from Gorge Waterfalls. I'm getting over a sinus cold, and we are headed out to do one of my last runs, or last steady state runs. I have some recovery runs leading up to the race. Wearing shorts today. It's 40 degrees outside right now. That's approximately the temperature it will be when I start next week, and so I'm just going out to practice like my wardrobe for that morning. I have a hard time getting myself to go out wearing clothes that I will be cold in at the start, even if I know it's going to warm up. Millie is very anxious to get going. So this is just kind of a practice run of like, you can do this in shorts, you'll be fine. There's going to be a lot of snot during today's run as we are recovering. So I'm just trying to make a second little first aid bag that I carry in my pack, because I'm going to have 2 packs this time, and rather than my crew having to switch everything out of my pack, I'm just going to double everything. So I have stuff like anti-nausea, Tylenol for pain, gas relief drops, Benadryl, which was handy at a race I did in the past where a bunch of people were getting stung by wasps. And then I still need to go through this and get like Band-Aids and moleskin, stuff for blisters. I'm just trying to make a double of everything. I also have these adorable little scissors that my husband bought me to cut things like moleskin. So just trying to not have it so that I realize that one pack has something and the other doesn't. My sister-in-law for Christmas got us these little toilet paper that you just get wet and it becomes a sheet of toilet paper. So I'll put some of those. This race, there's so many opportunities for waterfalls and stuff that would be easier, but sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're the only water you have has electrolytes in it. Might be kind of sticky. And then a rain poncho, and I'll also have a rain jacket in my pack. So I'm just making a double. It's a mess right now. So I have a list here of my race strategy, race plan. And so I'm just putting together, we have a drop bag, which will have an extra long sleeve. It's likely that it will rain, so I could be wet. A pair of socks, a pair of gloves, some extra nutrition. I may or may not actually need this drop bag, but it's just in case. And then I'm going to have 2 packs. So I have one pack that I'm going to wear until mile 33, and then another pack that I'm going to wear till mile 58. And then I'll have just a handheld for the last 3 miles. So I'm just getting together the nutrition for each pack, as well as the first aid bag that I just made. So I wrote out how many calories I would need for each of those legs, and then gave myself like an extra hour or so worth of calories, just in case it takes me longer than planned. So the next thing to do and be getting ready for our trip is we have to get this camper ready. We haven't taken it out yet this year. So we're gonna see if it will start or if it's gonna need a jump. Sam's gonna see if it'll start.
See how this goes. It's been a little while since it started. It does not seem that there is anything at all.
Alright, so we're gonna jump the camper first.
Man, I'm not getting
It's dead.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing this a week beforehand. Not when we're ready to go. Forgot what it looks like inside. Oh, Millie's ready to go. Ooh, it looks like we need to clean it up a bit. Here's our adorable camper, ready for a year of trips. So we're going to be doing 4 more races this year, at least, maybe 5. And we're going to stay in the camper for 3 of them. So out of the 5 races I registered for, 3 of them are within a good driving distance. So that's kind of what the camper was for when we go running, we can park near where we're going to run and just stay in the camper. It's been super nice to have a shower right after a long run. So 1 week from today, I will be running the Gorge 100K, hopefully feeling better than I do right now since my getting over this head cold. But I did do my run this morning. Regardless of not feeling great, I got my fastest time on Mirror Loop, which is about just under an 8-mile loop with 1,000 feet of gain. So it was perfect terrain for doing my steady state interval. So it was warm up, 20 minutes at steady state, and then a 45-minute endurance run at the end. The rest of the week, I have a 90-minute run tomorrow, and then everything kind of gets shorter from there. So it'll be in the 1 hour and then 45 minutes, just keeping the legs moving. I do better on a little bit of fatigue in my legs versus like too much downtime. Without some consistent running, my knees actually start to hurt more. So that's something I've just learned over the last 4 years of doing ultras. Millie and I just got to the trailhead. It is such a beautiful morning. We're the only ones here, which is crazy. It is Sunday. I'm feeling a lot better today. I just have all this mucus that needs to exit. So, great way to do that on the trail, I guess. I felt bad for Millie. Yesterday's run, snot like all over her. She's just in the worst place possible. But today's run is a 90-minute endurance run. It just means that we are running at about a long run pace, so should be able to hold a conversation. It's always a little questionable when you're snotty. But I'm actually going to do some climbing today. So it's going to be a lot of power hiking, but my goal is to stay at a endurance intensity. I know when I see a lot of my clients doing like vert sessions where the main focus is to climb, their intensity actually drops to more of a recovery zone, because you really have to keep moving pretty quickly up the hill to stay in an endurance zone, endurance pace. And then when you add the trail to that, where you have rocks and stuff to navigate, you slow even more down. But I have a climb on my race, which is in 6 days, that is about, it varies between 12 and 20% grade for, I think, 5 miles. And so that's kind of what I'm going to think about while I'm doing today's run. We're only 5 days out from leaving to go. So this is my last endurance run. Then I have 3 recovery runs and 1 more steady state run after today. So yeah, we're like into the thick of the tapering. My coach right now is doing the Arizona Monster, so she's like 130 plus miles in. She's holding first place right now. So I'm just gonna think about that while I'm climbing up this hill. I brought my poles just to practice with the poles, never a bad idea. And I'm just gonna enjoy the sunshine. And again, practice wearing shorts in 40 degrees and telling myself you can do this. It's not that bad. All right. We've made it to one of my favorite climbs on Mira. It's just grueling and it's not super long. I think it's like a quarter of a mile, half a mile. I'll update. But it's a great one. Here we go. This is where I ran into a bear for the first time on Mira. So I was like, freak myself out a little bit, as if they're gonna be in the same place every time, which we know that's not true. But we're headed up, just making sure I'm going at a conversational pace, talking to you. There's a lot of pine cones on the ground. Not even Millie's running at this point. She hates hills. I love them. Here we are. Here's where I saw my bear before. Sam and the kids are way behind me, skiing. Oh, there's some deer. Millie saw the deer. All right, let's get on with this hike. We're just trying to kill time, aren't we? So we made it pretty high up before running to snow. And we're probably just gonna go back down because Millie's short. Millie! And we'll come up again. So we'll do 2 or 3 passes up the hill. Millie thinks she saw something. It's a chipmunk. Millie, we're gonna go back. Come on. Just finishing our run. We got about 7+ miles, 1,400 feet of climbing. So a little more climbing than yesterday, but a little shorter because I was going much slower and focusing on some steep hills. So I definitely didn't feel very strong today. This congestion, pitiful. A little bit of a sap story over here, but I also have not eaten enough food. Not having an appetite, just haven't eaten much, and definitely showed today. So we're gonna start the rest of this taper week eating a lot and with some naps. Well, 24 hours later, after that last run that I recorded, I have updated news. I came home from my run and I just started getting like severe pain in the side of my face and my ear, just like touching my ear. And it was just different than it has been in the past few days. So I went to urgent care. And this virus I have has kind of settled in my ear, and now I have an ear infection. So I took some time yesterday and kind of chatted with my husband about my options. And ultimately, as an endurance athlete and as somebody who has had a lot of trouble with antibiotics in the past, I knew that I really didn't want to take an antibiotic, and the doctor said I could try just using Sudafed to see if it would drain. Problem is, I've been doing that for the past few days. And an antibiotic while you're running long distances, it can really mess with you. I've actually done a marathon before taking an antibiotic, and it was one of the most uncomfortable runs I've ever done. And it was only a marathon versus like 100 miles or something. So I knew that once I started that antibiotic, the Gorge Waterfalls would be out. So I decided to wait another night, which ended up just being another terrible night of sleep, more pain in my ear. I still have a lot of pressure in there. And so I decided that this race is just not going to happen. And, you know, I was bummed and stressed out thinking, like, what if I'm not better by the time the race happens? But ever since making that call, I feel good about it just because I know, like, there are other races I can do. I had kind of a list of races that I could do to get me these running stones and as my UTMB index race. And so I'll just do one of them instead. To kind of cheer myself up in the moment, I was like, you know, I really just like running and training, and I'm going to be able to run sooner by not doing the race because I don't have to recover as long, hopefully, as I would if I ran 100 kilometers. That recovery after a big race is always like my least favorite time. So I'm just postponing that to a little bit longer. And I think it's just a good lesson, like, in pivoting and doing what's best. I've had a lot of other things go on in my life in the last 5 years with Nora's dad dying of cancer, and I've just spent a lot of time having to make these kind of calls of like, well, there's more important stuff going on. During his treatments, I had to pull out of a couple of races as well, and this is just such a minor thing in the grand scheme of things. It's an ear infection, and it really sucks. And Sam is also sick, and so laying in bed last night just listening to him coughing, I was like, how are we gonna stay in the camper, 3 of us, if he is still coughing like this, because he had to move to the couch. So it's just the better option. We're gonna keep training. Millie's gonna keep training too. And we'll hopefully, when it comes time to do the big race next year, we won't be sick. A little lesson there also was not to travel right before a race, and, you know, maybe we wouldn't have got sick. Who knows?